Good morning, I'm Clinton Northway, one of the Operations Section Chiefs for the Alaska Incident Management Team, and this is your morning update for the Lime Complex. Today we'll start, or this morning we will start with one of the fires within the complex that is staffed right now. We'll start with Fire 206, Agaluk Mountain. We have a number of resources staged out of Sleep Mute, which they take day missions out into some of the sites that we have evaluated and validated for structure protection. Currently, right now, they're working in the Crooked Creek area, just south of Crooked Creek on H20. What they're doing in there is shoring up the protection measures that were taking place in the last few days, and they will continue to do so. The rest of the group has been actually helping out with some of the other outlying structures that have been identified within this particular area. As you can see by a number of different purple indicators on the map, those are native allotments. And some of those native allotments have structures on those, so those are priority. Other ones out there are considered lodges. So over here, there's the Stony River Lodge we've identified, as well as some of the other outlying ones just south and east. That will continue to go over the next few days, basically going out there doing reconnaissance, keeping an eye on that fire. And if there's any fire movement towards any of those identified sites, they will react accordingly and implement those defensive measures. Okay, for the Lime Village area, currently we do have a Type 1 hand crew in Lime Village. And what they're doing is they're working on the north side of Lime Village. And there are a number of structures that they've identified over there. We received some of our supply order. So what they're doing over there is finalizing some saw work around those structures and installing a hose lay. After they have that installed, they will test that hose lay to ensure that everything is complete and working prior to exiting that. The rest of those resources working out of Lime have gone over here to just to the west of Fire 198. There's some identified structures over there, Stony River Lodge, for example. They're over there helping out an additional group, which we're going to reference later as the North Point Protection Group. Those resources are freed up and they're able to assist other groups on identified structures to implement structure protection measures and react as necessary as fire movement dictates. Okay, the next group we're going to talk about has the task of working and identifying outlying structures around Lime Village. We call that the North Point Protection Group. They have identified, for example, right here we're calling this trout and tundra lakes. There's a number of different structures identified as trout and tundra 1, 2, 3, and 4. They've gone in there and done defensive measures, and actually on trout number 1, due to fire movement from 244, they were able to do some defensive actions on there. They did initiate a burnout around trout and tundra 1, which is taken very well. They gained some depth in creating a barrier from the main fire's edge to reduce the impact to that structure. So they're in there right now. They're cleaning up around that structure, meaning cleaning up as they're mopping up around there. And so they're trying to mop up anywhere from 300 to 400 feet around that structure to ensure that that cabin is safe and will not be impeded against by any of the fire movement out of 244. Again, they are up here as well, which is some more identified structures from 198 Stony River, just right around this area as well as some other ones that you can see identified by the purple dots. Just for your knowledge, even though one of these things has like the purple identifiers or native allotments, some of those native allotments might have more than one structure on them. So even though the map shows you a location, what really is on the site needs to be validated and basically by aerial observation or troops on the ground to ensure that we're protecting everything at that particular site. Over here on Fire 228, just east of 228, there was some significant movement on that fire. And there was a site out here, what we're referring to as Horseshoe Lake. We were able to insert 2 sticks of repellers in there, 10-person rappel crew. They were able to do some defensive firing around 228 Lake, and that's gone really well the last couple days. So they're in there now mopping it up and looking forward to the end of the shift of removing one of those repellers, one of the sticker repellers to recover back to Antioch and react to some of these other locations, as the rappel crew is a pretty good resource, as smoke jumpers are at a premium right now with all the fires going across the state. You know, this is really good jumper country, but in the interim, rappellers will have to do the job, and they're doing a great job at that. There's some additional structures just farther east of 228, and there's no concern for those right now, but those are certainly on our radar, and we will continue to watch those. Okay, for the Fire 240, one of our most active fires on this complex, we were able to move some reinforcements into the location along the Mulchatna River. We received a National Park Service module, and we moved a 10-person module, UNIWEEP, from Fire 205 into that location during this last operational period. And those guys are working with fire bosses to monitor and observe the fire movement over here on the west side. There are several different assets and values out there that are along the Mulchatna River up to the Cockatoolie River as well. They're currently working on the southwestern edge, trying to cool that edge down so the fire doesn't make a significant impact to those structures up and down the Cockatoolie, including the lodges. We have the modules working this flank, progressing eastward, and another one working the northwest flank in the same direction. Basically, one module working to the east and one module walking to the west. And what they're doing in there is validating the burn as far as clean black and identifying any hot spots that need some cooling in there to reduce the impact of the fire moving to the southwest to impact some of those values identified out there. The rest of the fire has been observed by aerial reconnaissance and the use of drone unmanned aerial systems out there. So those guys are set up and they're postured and they're ready to react to fire movement threatening any of those structures. We'll move over here to Fire 205. A couple days ago, we were able to do some defensive firing around some identified values out there. We were able to put a module in there. They did some defensive burning, mopped it up, and that place is secure right now. And we will just put that fire in monitor status. And of course, you know, everything is supported out of Iliamna, and we're expecting an additional helicopter to come in there tomorrow, and that'll be in support of 205, and they'll bring with them an additional module. So as they continue to monitor that fire and that movement, we have the two modules in place out there, and we have an additional one that can respond and assist those modules. Okay, I just want to cover one more thing on Fire 205 as well. As you can see on this particular map, we have a blue polygon around Fire 205, which includes Fire 205 and Fire 239 and 240. That is a TFR, or temporary flight restriction, and that is put in place to protect our aerial assets from any incursions from other aircraft than what are being managed by the incident. And that is for the safety of the ground crews and the safety of our aerial firefighting assets out there. We currently have helicopter operations going on over Fire 240, as well as unmanned aerial systems flying over 240 as well as 4 fire bosses, basically tankers on floats that scoop water, as well as an air attack platform as well. So we encourage the public to pay attention and be aware of ongoing air operations around 240. It's for the safety of not only of our firefighters, but for the public as well. Wrap up today's operational update, and we want to thank the public and the communities that are helping us out in understanding the operations out here. Shout out to Iliamna, Lime Village, and Sleep Mute, and Antioch. You know, we have distributed operation bases out there to where we have supply depots and fueling, and we appreciate the community's hospitality while we continue to move forward and try to secure some of those values identified out there. Have a good day.